And welcome to today's video, today's message, today's support that we're offering you today. Judita and Anna are here with you. Let us take a deep breath. Actually, Judita, if you can guide us through the breath, you're just so good at
Yeah,
this.
hello everyone. I was just about to do that. I knew that you were in the rush. So I was like, let's start with tuning into the body and
Yes.
just relaxing. So if you could just close your eyes slowly, take a deep breath, the deepest you actually have taken in all day, just the deepest one you can reach the place you didn't even think you can reach. Go really, really deep with this one and then exhale and notice what's happening in your body. Notice if there are any tensions, notice if there are any thoughts of things, if there's any story whatsoever in your mind, something what you need to do, something what happened, whatever is running in your mind. Just notice all these things which are happening in your body, in your mind, and slowly breathing. So another inhale and exhale. One more. Inhale and exhale. And another one. Inhale, exhale. And I just want you to imagine your happy place wherever you are. Just notice where your mind takes you. Where is your happy place? Where is it that you feel really, really good? Is it on the top of the mountain? Is it in the woods where everything is green? Is it by the ocean where you can hear the ocean waves? Is it in the flower field? Is it under the rain when the rain is cleansing you and the drops are cooling your body? Where is your happy place? Notice what's around you. And then take another deep inhale, knowing that you are safe. And noticing how does it feel when you're at your happy place. And just slowly deciding what kind of quality you want to go on with in your day. Is it a joy? Is it a fun? Is it a playfulness? Is it being tender with yourself, being gentle? What is it that you want to go with us here, with this video, when you are here with us? What kind of word is coming, into your mind, into your body? What kind of feeling? What do you want to feel? And when you have that word, just write it down.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say I encourage writing it down. Like I'm a visual person. I needed to see it. Yeah.
yes. And writing it down, and then, you know, just tune into this video with us, because who knows, maybe there will be a team
It will
of
come
the
up in the
video.
process. Yeah,
Yes,
beautiful.
exactly.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is so important. Just like coming back home, coming back to you, coming back
Mm.
to this moment and dropping. It's like, the you that we get to come back to is the you that is beyond, like it's beyond the personas. It's beyond what's being said or what's being heard, or just is the isness, and coming home to that. Yeah, beautiful. And from that
Mm.
place, sourcing that which supports you in creating that, you, the persona, like the word that we just tuned into, the intention. Thank you.
You're
Oh,
welcome.
how about you start us off with a topic for today? Because we have a great one. Or how do you deal with emotions, with like random emotions? Can you dive in before we start recording? You were kind of going in with that question. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I was actually like having this like interesting question because, and I feel like everyone can resonate with this question because it's something what we all are going through. And that's like, what's wrong with me if like, I'm like doing well in the day, there are no triggers whatsoever, and my like energy suddenly drops, or I just start feeling moody, or I start feeling like negative, or I start feeling tired, like, and there is no reason. And you might be thinking, oh wow, what's wrong with me? There is no reason. And you just start questioning yourself and maybe perhaps even feeling anxious that, you have no reason behind this, like that what's happening in your day-to-day life. And and when I got this question, I really had to like, smile because I was like, wow, this used to be me. This used to be me, like really thinking that there is something wrong with me if there was like some negative emotion coming through my body, like a sadness or tiredness or
Anger.
feeling frustrated, anger.
Yeah.
And my like answer is really simple with this one, and that's just your emotion. Like, can you just allow the emotion coming through your body? Can you just like, not to identify with that emotion, that the emotion is not you and it's just the emotion coming through your body, needs to be expressed. Perhaps just notice what's happening. Like, it's just an invitation for maybe if you are tired, just to lie down and just have a little bit of rest. Or if you are angry, just go and take that pillow and scream into it. And
Or
don't
throw it at
try,
the wall or something.
yeah, do
Yeah.
it. And yeah, and like just try not to look for the story. That is, sometimes it doesn't have to have any story at all. That it can be some old emotion which was unprocessed when you were a child, perhaps even as a like emotion, I believe, which was unprocessed by your parents, grandparents, your ancestors, which was like, stored in the cells, and it just needed to be expressed.
As you're
So,
talking, I had to laugh because I'm like, because like, what if it's an emotion that was, unexpressed in your childhood? I'm like, what if it's an emotion that was unexpressed yesterday? That too.
yes.
Because sometimes we go through our day and it's like, yes, the original trigger is somewhere, usually like, it's the old programming. It's like that button was pressed from childhood, but you may not even go that far in that moment. You're like, oh, I didn't feel that anger yesterday, or like
Mm.
I didn't have that roar yesterday. I wasn't able to cry fully yesterday, or that thing happened in interaction. I wasn't able to, like, it wasn't the right circumstance, for me to be vulnerable or whatever. It's like that's what I want to do. And it's like those things could be unprocessed even from yesterday. Because like you're kind of diving into, you know how to do this work, right? I know how to do this work, but somebody watching may not have that link right away to the childhood. And understanding that, just start where you are. It's like where, not even where this emotion comes from, but you're like, oh yeah, that kind of links, like, yes, I'm angry about this. Like this person said that yesterday, and that may come up, and like dropping the story, but just feeling that feeling in the body. Yeah. Sorry for interrupting. It
Beautiful.
just wasn't what came up. It's like, what if it's
No, no,
yesterday?
no, no, no. No, 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 no. Yeah, no, that you're totally right because but actually that's what all I wanted to say. So
It's like
if you
that was
have
it. That was
something
it.
else, it was
Um,
like for me it was like, no, it's just like coming through the body, just let it come through. And
yeah, let it
somebody might
come
be
through
thinking
and
like,
witness
how do
it.
I do that? How do I let it like, get through my body? And might be even
Yeah.
scared because you might start like crying, right? So Anna, if you want to go with this one, like what about
Yeah. Yeah.
somebody's
Especially
watching
if
and
you
it's
have,
like, oh, yeah.
yeah, especially if you have like stories around crying. You're like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Why am I crying out of nowhere? I remember actually, my ex-partner would, because I was so uncomfortable crying. I was like, yo, you don't show weakness, okay? You're like, you're a badass and you've got all this. There's no crying. Crying's for wimps, right? And that's where I came from. And I remember just having, like, after the inner work and after having that awakening experience. And I'm like, I'm drawn to, caressing my throat right now and be like, the throat, like expression. Um, and I remember we were driving the car and I just started crying. And I remember my partner, like, he was agitated at the time, and he said something like, oh, well, my kids were in the car, and he's like, oh, well, you're modeling like depressive behavior to children. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm actually modeling that it's okay to feel whatever's coming up in the moment without it having a story. And that was so powerful because like I was stepping into my like, no, crying is not for wimps. And that was the part of me that was saying that, what was judging that, the vulnerability was the part that was unable to be vulnerable and who thought like, oh my God, what does that mean about me? And I remember stepping into that and actually saying, it's like, no, I'm not modeling depressive behavior. I'm actually teaching them how to feel, which is like our society is so dead to that. We don't know how to feel, hence why we need medication, because whenever we have strong emotions, because we don't know what the fuck to do with them, and we get overwhelmed by that, you know? And this is why the medication, it's like, so no, it's not. Feeling your feelings fully is not depressive behavior. It's actually, that's the strength, that's the superpower. Being
Yeah.
vulnerable is actually the superpower.
And we are
Um,
not sorry, and we are just not saying that the medication is wrong, that
no,
you
absolutely
should,
not.
like,
Absolutely
ditch
not.
it or anything like that. But
The why
we are
behind it.
yeah, the why behind it.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, Anna, I will be quickly back because my light is really bad. I need to
Okay,
turn
go
on the
ahead.
light.
Go ahead. I'm just gonna continue for now with yeah, it's like absolutely not that medication's bad, but it's just like giving the confidence to those like if you do want to not take it, or if you do, just like I see especially like a lot of kids just being, medicated for things that are it's just part of being a child, and it's like you're supposed to be too much, you're supposed to be a lot. Um, yeah, in regards to what you said, something that was like I was li really literally just working with a client on this, and there was this kind of not finding the balance between it's like, okay, and there's so many different schools of thought on this. There's so many different approaches. What do we do with the emotions in the sense that, okay, well, no, I'm just going to be the natural, like just the observer of them, and I'm not them, and that disassociation, right? And then what Judita and I just spoke about, it's like, it's okay if you need to cry it out. It's okay if you want to throw a pillow at the wall. And it's like, well, doesn't that go against some teachings? Absolutely. Like Judita and I, we've both done the Vipassana. You remember we came out of it, we're like, there's no space for feminine expression here. And not feminine as in for women, just like feminine energy moving through us. Intuition. One of the teachers that I really follow closely, they were saying how when they started receiving guidance or channeling, it's like they were just taught to meditate. So whenever that guidance would come through, they would just block it off because they're like, oh, no, 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 I'm taking away all the thoughts. Like, no thoughts. I'm just supposed to focus on nothingness. And they would miss those intuitive hunches. That's the feminine coming through. So it's not that one modality is right and the other one's wrong, and like you find which one resonates with you. And what I want to bring in here, this piece that um Dr. Hawkins in the book Power versus Force spoke about how the first half of our life we have to build up our ego and like read books and have all these things so that on the second part of our lives we can destroy it, so the ego can destroy itself because it's so strong, because it understands like the bigger picture, so it understands that it itself makes no sense. And it's kind of the same thing. It's like you need that, maybe going to the extreme of that structure or something like Vipassana to understand like, wait a second, what about my intuition? Or maybe the other way around, maybe like completely going into, what people call like la la land and like that feminine flow, to be understand like, wait a second, I actually want to create something, like I need more structure. So it's like you will inevitably come into the balance for you and what is right for you when you allow yourself to play with both aspects and not, singling one out versus the other. Um, and it's this, as I explain this to the client, it's like you want to come into the observer so that later on you can play fully in life without getting lost. So what I do a lot with my one-on-one clients is like, we're in life and we feel like, oh, this is it, or this is who I am. It's like, what if you step back from that and you're actually not that? And then when you get really, really good at being the observer, then you can come back in life and living in it, but not being of it. So it's like you can cry fully. It's like, oh my God, I feel this anger. And you can like raw, not dumping it on other people. I'm not saying punch someone in the face, but I'm saying like feel the energy fully or cry fully. But you also understand that there's this home that Udita guided us to at the beginning of this video, that there's a home that you come back to, that's you, that those are not, you, they're part of you and they're amazing. And that's how we come into wholeness, by allowing ourselves to paint with all the colors of the color palette, and feeling all these emotions fully, but understanding that we are not them. And
Mm.
yeah, can you speak about becoming that safe space? How do we become that safe space to hold. This is really the masculine energy to hold all of that which is being expressed by the feminine. How can we hold that? How can we begin, maybe just beginning to be that say, like, well, how do I not buy into? How do I make my tears okay? How do I make my anger okay? How do I make my resentment? Ooh, resentment, judgment okay, right? Because that's what we have. It's like, oh, good people don't do that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I would well, I will give you this like because this is a really important step. How do you do that? You actually forgive yourself.
Mm.
This is a super, super important like step that you just like, forgive yourself and you say it loud. And you just like like my favorite teacher Leonard Jacobson says like just go and sit in front of the tree and confess to the tree
Mm.
and say things like you were judging about yourself, or things which you've done, or who you have become, and just like say it to the tree, or to the sun, or to the sky, or to the earth, or something what makes you feel good, and just say those words and say, I forgive you, and be with these words, really, really present with them, and let them really like sink deeply into your body, and then watch what's gonna happen. Yeah.
I love how you just expressed that. It made me just think of you because I mean, like years of this inner work and working with the same teacher as you did. And when I was able to say it to you, like I'm like, you're my tree. Like you're that person that I can express it to. And there are those moments that I'm like, oh my God, I'm still gonna be judged for that. And it was like stepping into, first doing the inner work and like admitting things to myself. But then when you have also that person, but that's the thing, is like you don't come across these people like, oh, who will hold it, right?
Mm,
And when I started speaking it to you and there was so much judgment, I'm like, oh, just screw this. I'm just going to say it. Right. And I'm like, I'm not afraid to be me and being witnessed and possibly judged, possibly rejected by another person. Um, and it's so
yeah.
magical when you have another person just witnessing that. It's like you have that neutrality of, the tree or the flower or whatever. Yeah. And
Beautiful.
I also have that with my clients. They're like, how do you have no judgment? I'm like, well, because in sessions, like there's no Anna, there's just that neutrality of the tree. And then it gives you that strength that when you are around people who are not like that, who don't have the capacity yet to have that curiosity, who buy into the stories, like I've shared with you, I had that in a relationship, and it's like I'm okay with that. It's like I would say some things, I was like, oh God, I'm going to be judged, and then you are judged, and you're like, well, that's okay because I stand in me. But that all comes from the first step of like forgiving you and sitting with you and what you spoke about. And then you can bring that out into the world more because you
Mm,
know that you're just unshakable and you've got this and you're just like, I don't care. Like in the good, I don't care. Like I love myself so much. I feel so whole. I have so much self-love that I'm okay. No matter what,
mm.
I'm okay.
No, I
Beautiful.
love that. And you know what was popping into my head? I would really, really love to know, for those of you watching, like what was that word you actually wrote at the beginning? What was the word you like,
Intention.
what was, yeah, that intention you had in your head? And also, if you could let us know down below in the comments, um, do you actually have this that you go through the day and then like suddenly your emotions change without the reason, or like, just
Mm,
something happens, the energy, like how, like, is this you? Because like I don't know many people if they like they don't have this, but I'm wondering,
yeah.
is you too? Because it's really, really important to acknowledge like you, and also like know that it's okay if you feel this way, and there is nothing wrong with you, that you are human.
I want to address even the admitting piece of this because I was like, as I'm listening to you right now, I don't know, I'm like tuned in to the Anna from like, I don't know, 5 years ago. And if I heard this, I'm like, No, I'm stable. Okay. I'm not one of those people. My emotions are stable. Or even it was kind of I don't know, as you were saying, it was kind of like going backwards. So after that, not admitting that I have emotions because that would be too human of me. And it's like, no, if you feel you're vulnerable, like you're weak, you're too impacted, right? You're too, well, yeah, too susceptible to the world. That's not a good thing. Like you got to have your shit together. So it's like, first of all, that moving past that, going into CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which teaches you literally that all your feelings are just thoughts. So it's like, okay, well, if you have a change, like as you were talking, you're like, if it suddenly changes, I'm like, usually there's a thought to that. And my mind wanted to go, it's like, oh yeah, there has to be a thought process to that. And I remember when I came to our teacher and I'm like, oh, well, and she's like, it's okay to feel. And I'm like, why do you need to feel? Just change your thoughts and you're okay. Like you're not gonna have to have those feelings. And they're going like, wow, like this one's gonna be difficult to work with. And it's like, yes, those points are all true. Not the first one. You absolutely have to feel. It doesn't make you any stronger if you don't feel. It makes you weaker. That point's not true. But the one that, yes, there's the concept that all your feelings are actually thoughts, but also there are those that are just stored in the body. And this is what this video was about. That, yes, like become aware, why did this just change? Why did sometimes you could be having a conversation with your partner, all of a sudden you got hostile, you felt like your walls going up. And it might be so subconscious, you may not have any notice. It's like, what was the thought? What did they just say? What did you make it like subconsciously mean about what they just said that made you shut down, right? Like, yes, catching those. But sometimes it is just when you open more, when you do the work more, it's like things are just clearing up. And can that be okay? Can that not have a story? And it's a balance between the two. And this
I
is why,
love it.
we're doing what we're doing, and Judita works one-on-one with clients, and I do too. Because sometimes it's difficult to notice. Like we both work with teachers, we both could not have done this alone. So if you want further support with this, our links are down below, mine and
And
Judita's.
also, I want to say, if you want to be part of the safe space and the community,
Mm,
we have a like program coming up, which will be available
January. Yeah.
January. Yes. So if you want more information about that, don't be scared to hit us with a message, or even comment like community, and
Yeah,
we will send you
community.
the info. Yeah, because this will be freaking amazing program,
Yeah.
and um
We're going to
we
be
will be
sharing more about it, just like it's still in the
Mhm.
making. And but yeah, this one's only for women though. So if you do want, further support with that and you're a man, so it's one-on-one work, this will be an incredible space for women to deepen into that, to connect to themselves on a deeper level, and to like allow all of it, dance with all of it, learn how to come into wholeness with all of it. So we thank you so much for being here again, letting us know the intention below, letting us know it's like, oh yeah, like moods or emotions, I'm just, in that, or maybe not at all. Let us know in the comments. We thank you so much for being here, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Much love.
Thank you. Bye.